This is Financially Fit Radio with Cory Sickles from Safe Harbor Retirement Group. When a part of your financial strategy is out of tune, your long-term goals, your retirement savings, and your legacy can all suffer. With many years of experience in the financial industry, Cory provides his clients and prospects with the information they need regarding Social Security, retirement income planning, wealth management, and much more. Listen in as we address your financial concerns and provide helpful solutions to put you on the path to achieving your retirement goals. And now, here is Financially Fit Radio with Cory Sickles.
Welcome back to another episode of Financially Fit Radio. I'm Cory Sickles with Safe Harbor Retirement Group and Wealth Advisors. If you'd like any information about today's show, just feel free to give us a call at 614-760-0670, or you can always visit our website at safeharboroh.com. And while you're on our website, feel free to click on that radio page. You can check out previous shows, as well as subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, Google Podcast, or Spotify. Also, feel free to watch today's show on our YouTube page. Just type in Safe Harbor Retirement Group. You can watch all of our playlists from Financially Fit Radio, as well as watch other financial topics on YouTube as well. And feel free to subscribe to YouTube, because you can also check out our daily Financially Fit tips as well. Today we're going to talk about, once you reach that, once you reach 50, that's really the time that people really start thinking about trying to save for retirement. That's when you really start looking at it. 60, 65, 67 comes a lot quicker than I think a lot of people believe once you hit the age of 50. So we're going to talk about that topic today. Before we dive into that, let me introduce to you my co-host every week. That's Tony Shore. How are you, Tony?
I am doing very well today, Cory. I have had a good week, and I appreciate being on the show once again. It's a good one. Things have been busy, I know, for you. I'm trying to wrap up my own personal taxes still.
Oh, yeah.
Coming down to the wire. Usually I have them done by now, but working with the tax man, as you know, and getting those done. But things get different once your kids get out of the house and you no longer have them as dependents. We notice we owe a little more, right? So
yep,
we're
you
trying
make a little bit more income.
Yeah, more.
Well, technically, you make more income according to the IRS. Not necessarily your take-home pay is the same.
Yeah, that's the problem. The take-home pay hasn't went up in correlation with the actual income that's taxable. That's the problem.
That's exactly right.
It's that taxable income. That number has gone up, and the take-home hasn't gone up that much. So, but you know what? Everything's great. Working that out, that's fine. And taking your tips, that's been very helpful for Sarah and I, my wife and I, in our financial planning. And I love talking about it each week with you. Now, Cory, how have you been? What's going on over there?
Been good. We're actually really busy right now. So that's actually a good thing. Normally, during the spring, around March, April, it usually kind of dives off, I think, with spring break and things like that. But we're actually, quite busy. So it's, that's, from our standpoint, that's good. And, constantly doing annual reviews, and people are retiring. And I think today's topic is going to be a really good topic, because it's something that I think happens a lot, where someone comes in, they're in their 50s. And, now they're really serious about trying to see what their retirement's going to look like. So,
yeah,
I think it'll be a good topic today. And, when we start talking about a lot of these, things, Tony, one of the last things we usually talk about is, well, you need to go out and really need to seek professional advice. And I think today I'm going to bring that out from the beginning, because here's the nice part about working now. Let's just say you're 52 years old. You want to retire, maybe 65, 67. Kids are finally out. You're a home nester. And, now is the time for you to start saving. Or maybe you've saved and you don't know even, am I on the path to know what I need to get to in order to have that secure retirement? So by coming out and meeting with an advisor like us, we're going to be able to sit down and show you exactly where you are today, show you exactly based upon if you keep saving the way that you're saving, this is what it's going to look like now when you're 65 or 67 or whatever age you want to retire at. That gives you a very good blueprint to be able to say, is that going to be how much I really need to have in retirement on a monthly basis or on an annual basis? It's a great way to see whether you're on track to have that secure retirement.
Yeah, it is. And I think that's really important. In fact, the example you laid out sounds like you described my life, age and situation and when I want to retire. That's me in a nutshell. So I really think that's important. And fortunately, I have been saving. I wish I had started in my 20s. That's for sure. I wish I had started much sooner, but I have been saving in my 50s. And that's really important. But it's more important to know where to put that money and how much. And that's where a financial advisor like you comes in, Cory, because you can really say, okay, based on you and Sarah's situation, here's where you should be putting the money now based on when you want to retire and how much you have. And then it can be actively managed and it's not all in one basket. You can, those decisions are very helpful working with a fiduciary like yourself who looks out for your client's best interests, right?
That's exactly right. And, there's a lot of things that kind of go into this. I mean, hopefully, there's, obviously there's a lot of individuals out there that do a great job saving. There's some that they had other commitments up to this time, and now they want to kind of focus on themselves. But at the end of the day, we all want to be able to retire the day that we want to retire.
Right.
But I think really, really what you need to be able to look at is, I have all this savings, but what's it really mean to me? One of the most difficult things to do is to actually turn a savings into a lifetime income plan. And that's where an advisor can show you based upon what you're doing today. Or, here's the nice part, Tony, is let's just say you're in a situation where, I don't know, you want to make $80,000 a year in retirement. Of course, a portion of that could be Social Security. The rest of it's going to have to come out of your savings. And
Sure.
then that's how we're going to be able to judge for that. But just because you want to make $80,000, is that $80,000 in today's dollars? Or is that $80,000 with adding a little bit of inflation for another 10 or 15 years too? So that $80,000 is really $102,000, for example. And then you need to have it keep growing while you're in retirement to have the same type of spending power that you do today. So by working with an advisor, we're going to be able to say, hey, you know what? You're doing awesome. You're doing great. This is what you need to do in order to make sure you have it. Or we're going to come back and say, hey, you have two options. You got to save more, or you're going to have to delay your retirement. I mean, that's really, but it's nice to know that now, rather than when you're 65 wanting to retire at 66 and find out that you need to work another 3 or 4 years. So the earlier that you can come in and work with us, the better we're going to be able to show on what you need to do to have that secure retirement. And obviously today, we're going to be able to sit down with you and show you on maybe where you should be spending your money from a savings standpoint. Should I be contributing more to my 401k? Should I be putting money into a Roth? Should I be putting maybe money into an annuity or life insurance? There's all kinds of things that we can look at, just to make sure that you're going to get the largest impact for where you're actually putting your money.
Yeah. Yeah, where it's asset allocation. That's what it all comes down to. And, managing that risk and growth and that balance is so important to achieve. And it's just something that people can't do on their own anymore because it gets complex. So that's where a financial professional comes in, is to help you achieve that balance to have a better, more comfortable retirement. Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly right. And, obviously one of the things you really have to look at is, we're going to want you to possibly increase your savings.
Sure.
Let's just say you've had a child that's actually been in school for the last 4 or 5 years. They're finally out of school. Maybe you were paying $20,000 to $25,000 or $30,000 a year. Obviously you were able to do it somehow. Well, now you should be able to put that $20,000 to $30,000 or $25,000 to $30,000 a year into your own savings, right? Now, where do you put that? Do I max it out by putting more money into my 401k, or obviously you need to put money in there if you're receiving a matches, but does it make more sense to put it in that? Or if maybe my company offers a Roth, right, where maybe I don't get the tax benefit today, but it grows tax free. Or maybe I should put it into life insurance. So there's all kinds of different things that we can sit down, and based upon your unique situation, we're going to be able to provide you, a solution that's going to benefit you and your spouse, or you and your family, for your retirement.
Right. Right. And that's key. I think that makes perfect sense. Maybe you put that money once the kids get out of college and they're on their own, put money you were paying toward, like right now, Sarah and I are still paying, we have young adults, 19, 21, and 24. Their car insurance is still on our bill, their cell phones. But like my son we've been dropping, he's been handling more and more things of his own. And as we get that money back, we should allocate it to our savings, is what you're saying. And where do we put that? A Roth IRA, a Roth 401k, in our regular 401k. So these are decisions that I don't want to make on my own. I would go to a financial professional who's a fiduciary and going to look at my overall situation and say, well, you should do this, or pay off this high interest debt first and then start saving, or build up your emergency fund, or put it in a Roth. There are a number of options out there, right?
Yeah, there's definitely a number of options out there. And obviously, I think one of the things that you need to do, just when you go through this process, is you need to look at your expenses, right? Are there ways that maybe I can cut some of my expenses so I could save a little bit more as well? I mean, we all don't want to live on a budget. I mean,
Right.
But in reality, you somewhat you need to.
Well, especially as you head into retirement, you
Exactly
need to have a
right.
budget,
Right.
because it doesn't matter how much you have or how little you have. You're on a budget in retirement. It's not unlimited funding in retirement.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So at some point in time, you're going to be on a budget. So you might as well be able to start cutting that back. The other thing that's very popular too, Tony, is, now that you're an empty nester, now you can start looking at your home, right?
Yeah.
Do I need to downsize? Or another common term is, do I need to right size, right? And what I mean by that is you obviously you might not need all this room anymore. You can hopefully have some good equity in the house. You might be able to pay it off, take the cash, and buy something outright. So it's something that you should be able to do. And downsizing is not as easy as I think many people think.
Yeah.
It's not. And that's actually why, we're part of, Downsize Columbus. Twice a year in the spring and in the fall, we have an event where you can come in and talk to experts about downsizing. There's a lot of things that go in downsizing, from anywhere from being able to getting rid of stuff to be able to move, and what type of community you want to move into. I talk on the financial standpoint. There's people that talk, you need to move. I mean, where are you going to move to? There's a lot of questions that are involved with that. And this is a great way to be able to, sit down, listen to people, and then ask questions, because at some point in time, everyone will downsize, whether you really want to or you don't want to.
Right. That's true. Eventually, we'll all get there. And I'm going through it with my dad right now. He still lives out on the farm, but he's going to move to a senior living, community or facility or something. So we're trying to get rid of all the stuff. And my parents have lived on that farm. My dad's lived there his whole life. I lived there my whole life. So there's a lot of stuff, right?
Oh, there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And there's a lot.
And how much of that stuff do you want, Tony?
Almost.
So for some reason, the parents and grandparents think everybody wants this stuff.
Well, yeah. He's pointing to these big, huge glass cabinets in his house going, we had these custom made, and I assume you'll want those. And I'm like, yeah, no, but the brand new power washer that's still in the box in your garage, I want that.
Exactly. Exactly. That's exactly
Can I have
right.
the power washer you never used that's brand new in a box because I don't have one?
Yeah, tools and things that are useful people will want.
Yeah.
I know that table's been in your house for 50 years.
Yeah.
That's not really something I want.
Yeah, no. Yeah. So
maybe your kids will want it. Just Hey, they're moving into college or they're just starting
Yeah.
out, but they might want that for a little bit. But that's really,
Yeah. Every time we go down there now, it's like, hey, what do you want? What do you want out of the house? Take it. My dad is like, take it, take it.
yeah, take it now.
Anything you want. He's trying to clean
Well,
it up.
but you're probably saying that too, because if not, you're going to have to deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah. We've been saying it too. At least we're at the point where we want to get your stuff out of here at least.
Right.
You're married now, living on your own. Please take your stuff.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, downsizing or right sizing is
Yeah.
something I think most people really, at some point, you're going to want to be able to do.
Right.
Another big thing, we didn't really talk about this at the beginning of it, but obviously now's the great time to review your overall investments too. You can go out to our website at safeharboroh.com, fill out our risk assessment. It's going to give you a score. And the whole goal of that score is to make sure that you're allocated towards that. When you're 50, maybe you're moderate growth, but I guarantee you by the time you're 60, you're going to be balanced to conservative growth. So as you kind of go through, year by year, as you're approaching retirement, it's crucial that you make sure that your investments align your risk.
Yeah.
Hey, the market's doing well this year. But the one thing that the conversation I have with so many clients is this: the days of them earning 20 to 30% in the market, it'd be awesome, but it's not mandatory. The thing they don't want to do is they don't want to lose 20 or 30%. Right. So you need to make sure that you're allocated, because if all of a sudden you lost 20 to 25 or 30% of your overall portfolio, now you're sitting there thinking, man, do I have to go back to work? Do I have to go out and get a part-time job? Am I going to, or maybe it's a year before you retire. Am I going to be able to retire now next year? So being able to make sure that you're allocated the correct way is important. And you don't want to be so conservative, Tony, that you can't keep up with inflation either.
You have to have some growth.
Yes.
Right? Just to keep up with inflation.
That's exactly right. So it's great to make sure that you're diverse, and you also want to be diverse from not only from an investment on where you're invested or how you're invested, but the products that you're invested into as well. It might make, obviously one of the things that we do at Safe Harbor Wealth Advisors is we have managed portfolios that we manage for our clients with the help of Gradient Investments. But, maybe you should put a little bit of money into an annuity or maybe a life insurance, or there's some other types of products out there that we might be able to, balance you out so you have a diversified portfolio, not only from an allocation standpoint, but from where and how it's actually invested.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. And I think that makes sense as well. We really need to make sure that we are saving properly, because like you say, if you have your assets properly allocated, it is going to help you maximize your savings. And one way to maximize savings is not only just to put more in, but make sure it's earning something. And keeping up with inflation is a way to maximize your savings. And so that's another good one. I like the replacing expenses that you can get rid of and taking that money you were spending once you pay off a car, or like you said, once your kids leave and you're no longer paying, once you pay off their student costs, take the money you were spending and put it into savings. I like that one too. I keep coming back to that.
Yeah, and if you really think about it, let's just say you have a $500 a month car payment, Tony. Well, that's probably been coming out of your bank account once a month.
Yeah.
For knows how long, right?
Yep.
Well, set up an automatic payment so it goes into a brokerage account that you're investing into.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the good way for you to build up your emergency fund if you don't have one, or use that as a car fund, or who knows what type of fund. But set it up, keep that automatic. Just make it automatic so you don't even actually see it in your bank account at the end of the month.
Right.
It's being invested, but it's in another bucket.
Yeah.
So the more that you can automate things, the easier it's going to be from a savings standpoint as well. And I think this is a great time to also review all your life insurance policies out there as well. One of the things that I see is most people that when they kind of get in those 50s, they probably have a term policy that's going about ready to lapse. You probably had a pretty large life benefit that wasn't paying, or really wasn't costing much. But now you're going to probably see that term probably end sometime in your 50s, whether it's at 50 or 58. So this is a great time to start looking at, does it make sense to have my second type of life insurance policy? And maybe it's not so much focused on death benefit as maybe it's focused more on long-term care or extended care as well, right? Because let's face it, you're going to have a big shift going from, from that where you're focused more on death benefit. Now you're focused on being able to preserve your assets. And obviously, if you go into some type of extended type of care later on in life, that's a good way for that to be able to take a lot of money, from your nest egg, which could actually then put your other spouse, your remaining spouse, in a tougher situation if you would happen to pass.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what's happening with my parents. My mom has been in long-term care because of her Parkinson's. So it puts you in a tricky situation. And I know there are a lot of like cash value life insurance policies, annuities that can help pay for long-term care if you need it. And so I think it is smart to look at that, because almost two out of every three people now, I read, will need long-term care at some point. If you live past the age of 65, there's a 70+% chance you're going to need long-term care. So chances are you or your spouse or both will need long-term care.
Yeah. And one thing I want to make sure when we talk about long-term care, most people always think nursing home.
Right.
And I think when I refer to long-term care, and I think when you refer to long-term care, Tony, really what we're talking about is you're going to need some type of care.
Yeah.
Whether that's actually in your house or at a facility. You're
Yeah.
seeing a lot more where you're actually having nurses come into the house in order to help you on a daily basis. Or maybe you have someone come in daily to maybe help do, clean up and do, make meals and things like that. So that's still a cost that's going to come out of your pocket. The question is it coming out of your pocket, or is it going to be coming maybe potentially out of some type of policy that you have, where it's not going to really degrade, your overall retirement savings?
Yeah. Nowadays, they have really nice facilities. They're building new all the time, where they have independent living, where they'll check on you once a day, or it might include one meal. They have assisted living, where they can come in and help you dress or make sure your meds are taken, things like that, bathing, bathroom. And then they have the full care, like my mom is in, which is kind of like a nursing home, where, they have to help you do everything. So there's different levels. And so we're not just talking about the old style nursing home, but it's all very costly. There's a base price, and then everything's a la carte. And it can really add up. I mean, anywhere from $6,000 a month to $12,000 a month, I've seen personally.
Yeah. So that's something we can definitely talk about. If you're from a savings standpoint, if you can put money into an HSA, that's always awesome. You're going to need it.
Yeah.
You're going to, believe me, whatever you have in there, you're probably going to spend on healthcare in retirement. So it's a great way to be able to save, for that as well.
Yeah, that's really important. So I think this is a great topic. We're talking about tips to maximize your savings, and that's going to help ensure you have a successful and a comfortable retirement. And work with a financial professional, I think, is the key here, right, Cory?
It is the key. We're going to be a help and guide you to make sure that you're on track today to have that secure retirement. So we'll be able to sit down and show you where you are, and hopefully where you want to go. But, just like anything else, if we need to adjust that, we're going to be able to tell you what you need to do in order to get to where you want to.
Okay. Well, let our listeners know how they can get a hold of you, get a second opinion on where they're at, and make sure they have a proper plan in place, get a second opinion on what insurance they have. How can our listeners get a hold of you to set up that consultation?
Yeah, you can always give us a call at 614-760-0670, or feel free to visit our website at safeharboroh.com. Again, all meetings are complimentary. There's no financial obligation. We're here to help and address any questions you might have, but more importantly, to put a financial plan in place to make sure you have that secure retirement. Again, just give us a call at 614-760-0670 or visit us online at safeharboroh.com.
All right, and that does it for today's episode of Financially Fit Radio with our host, Cory Sickles. Thank you for listening to Financially Fit Radio. Don't pay too much for taxes or retire without a sound income plan. For more information, contact Cory Sickles at Safe Harbor Retirement Group. Call 614-760-0670 or visit their website at financiallyfitoh.com.
All matters discussed during the show are for informational purposes only. Each individual situation may vary, and the opinions expressed here may not apply to everyone. Materials presented are believed to be from reliable sources, and no representations can be made as to its accuracy. All ideas and information should be discussed in detail with one of our qualified representatives prior to implementation. We are not affiliated with or endorsed by the Social Security Administration, the Federal Medicare Program, or any other government agency. Calling this number will direct you to a licensed sales agent.